Hello, welcome back. In this video, we'll be looking at array again, but this time around, we'll be looking at what is known as a two-dimensional array. So the array we looked at previously is known as a single dimensional array, just one dimensional array. It consists of just one single we have multiple columns depending on the length of the array. Now in a 2D array, we have several rows and we have several columns depending on how the array has been defined. So I have my class already named two-dimensional array, and I'll do a PSVN. The short the abbreviation of the main method, pretty much, let me put it that way. So we have our public static void main method. Now to declare a two-dimensional array, the syntax is exactly similar to the way of declaring the single dimensional array. So to declare an array of type int, that is a two-dimensional, I will say int. Okay, we name the variable, I'll call it numbers again, equals to new int. Now inside of this first bracket we specify the number of rows, and inside of the second bracket we specify the number of columns. Now we're going to do a simple 12 array. So we have 12 rows and we have 12 columns. I just want to make a simple example. We are going to print out a multiplication table. This multiplication table is a multiplication table of 1 to 12. Now this can be achieved using our normal for loop, or we can also make use of while loop. We just declared an int number. Before we get into the processing of this 2D array, we can also declare a string 2D array using the same format. We can say this equals to new string. Then we also have to specify the length. Say 4. Say 3. So note the number of rows is 4 and the number of columns is 4. Now to access an element, we have to specify names, the row number we are trying to access. So if we are trying to access row number 1, let me just say the first row. If we are trying to access the first row, the value on the second column in the first row, we are going to say 0, that stands for the first row. Since it's the second column we are trying to access, then we have to put index 1. Now these names, not name, and you can assign it a value, saying Kevin. You already know that the values that are stored in this array as at the time of declaration is null, because we have not yet given it any particular value. That's for string. But in the case of int, like I stated earlier, the values was 0. Now we can print out names. String, let me just print the same thing we did. And see names 0, 1. So it's going to print out Kevin. Oh, I'm supposed to run this class, not the previous one. So it printed out Kevin out on our console. So that's how to access an element inside of a 2D array. At first, we specify the row in the first bracket, and then we specify the column we are trying to access in the second bracket. And we can also initialize the 2D array at the point of declaration. So I'll say int, call this one values equals to, now we have to use a bracket, sort of, no, I have to use a curly brace and another curly brace. So inside of the curly brace we say 1, 2, 3. We are separating the values using a comma, then we do a comma again, and another curly brace, can do 6, 5, 4, we do semicolon. So this array, this 2D array is a 2x3 array. It simply has 2 rows and has 3 columns. So to access the value 6 in this array, we know we are looking at the second row. So to access that, we use index 1, and since we are accessing the very first column in that row, we use index 0. So I'm going to be printing the value out. Values, recall we use index 1 since we are accessing the second row. Then for the column we use index 0. So before it prints out Kevin, it's going to print out 6 at first. So I'll run the program. So you see we have 6. So that's how you access the value in a 2D array. You specify the row, then you specify the column you are trying to access. Now for our simple example, we want to print out a multiplication table of 12 by 12. So we are going to use a for loop for that. And we'll say for int I equals 0, I is less than 12, since that's the length of our array, then I plus plus, and we include the curly brace. Then we can say numbers I number I okay. We have to include another for loop. Say in j equals to 0, j is less than 12 also, and j plus plus. And we also have to include our curly braces. Now we can say int, numbers I, and to access, that's the I is the row now. Now to access the column, we say j will be equal to, recall that at this very first point I is equal to 0 because we are trying to access the 0 in there. So we can say I plus 1 times j plus 1, because at this very first position j is equal to 0. The reason for the parenthesis is precedence. Recall, we did precedence back. If I remove the parenthesis, then it is going to evaluate this expression in a different way, so that you have to include the parenthesis so that it's going to evaluate whatsoever is in the parenthesis before it evaluates the operator that is outside of the parenthesis. So we are going to be printing out numbers, but this time around we'll just use the start print, but we won't use the ln attribute alongside. We are going to remove ln, then we'll print numbers I, j. We add a comma and a space. I want you to study this code on your own and see what this code really does. Just take your time, pay close attention to every line of code, pay close details to it, take your time, then you understand what the code is doing. So I'll run the program. As you can see, we have the multiplication table printed out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first, to 12 in the first instance. We have 2 to 24 in the second instance, and 3 to 36, and so on and so forth. Now this println statement is not properly formatted, so for that we'll be using a print f, and let me include something right here. So you can see 5d. So it's going to be justified in a length of 5. I want it to print all of them in a very straight and accurate length, so that's why I included the print f and the 5d. So I hope this is correct. Oh no, so that should be %5d. I'll just run like that. As you can see, this is what I'm trying to say. I want them all to be printed in a nice format, so that's why I included the %5d, and that's pretty much it. So we have the print f also for printing out statement. I want you to go and read on that yourself. This is not part of what I want to get into in details in this series. So as you can see, we've processed for the 2D array, and just to let you know, we can also have 3D arrays, but that's not really what you meet in practice. You won't really get to see 3D array much in use in practice. So just the one-dimensional array and the two-dimensional array is enough for most computation that you are going to be doing as a programmer. So that's pretty much it for 2D arrays. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next section. Peace out.